Hello everyone, my name is Mike and you're watching Polymath Unlimited. Got something a little different for you guys today. As you can see, instead of our kind of normal content, we're going to be playing a game today. Um, this game is called Myst. So before we get started, I just want to talk a little bit about what Myst is and why I decided to play it on this channel. Myst is one of my favorite games of all time. It was made back in '93. It kind of kick-started or defined the graphical puzzle adventure genre. So it was kind of a pioneer in that field. And this game and the games that followed it, there's like a whole series of these games. They more than anything else, really, as a kid playing these games, it really got me curious about the world and how things work, and a lot of my curiosity and as far as uh, like I said, just how things work came from playing these games. Um, but why am I playing this today? Well, the studio that made these games just released a kind of a special peek look at a project that they called Project Anglerfish that they unfortunately weren't able to get a publisher for, so that project was not able to go forward. And so this is just kind of my effort to just kind of publicly support the developers of this game and just kind of show people that and show any uh, in the unlikely event, I guess, that any publishers might stumble across this, that this is a studio that pe- people like myself would like to see more content from. So that's kind of the reason why I'm doing this. Now, for any of you guys that are new to the channel, or that might be like seeing this as like the first thing from this channel, no, this is not typical of what we do here, and I'm not planning on making this typical of what we do here. I'm not planning on turning this into like a game channel or anything. So, I definitely do plan on continuing making the content that we normally make and all of that. This, just to be clear for anybody that's looking for like playthroughs of this game, this is not a blind playthrough. I'm basically a walking hint guide for this game. So if you're looking for a blind playthrough, this is not the place to get it. This is also going to be unscripted, which is kind of different from what I normally do. So, if I kind of tend to ramble or, stumble over words and all that, I apologize in advance for that. So this will be just kind of more of a retrospective playthrough. I'll kind of go through the game and go through it probably relatively quickly. Like I said, I already know all the puzzle solutions and all that, but I'll probably just go through and show the process of like how the puzzles work and how to solve them and how they relate to the larger world of the game itself. So yeah, just I guess let's just get started.
I realized the moment I fell into the fissure that the book would not be destroyed as I had planned. It continued falling into that starry expanse of which I had only a fleeting glimpse. I've tried to speculate where it might have landed. I must admit, however, such conjecture is futile. Still, questions about whose hands might one day hold my Myst book are unsettling to me. I know my apprehensions might never be allayed. And so I close, realizing that perhaps the ending has not yet been written.
Yeah, so as you guys can tell, this by that intro, this game is pretty lore intense. Which, oh, where's my mouse at? Oh, that's weird. Yeah, these older games can be a little buggy sometimes, unfortunately. Especially trying to record them like this. There we go. Yeah, so we've got a book, and if we click on it, we go there. That's kind of the central mechanic of this game, as we'll see. So yeah, by today's standards, it's not like super great as far as the graphics goes, but like for 1993, this blew people's minds. This was all pre-rendered, so none of this is being rendered in real time. Basically, the developers of the game computer generated all of these still images and kind of stitched them together like this, so it kind of felt like you were going through this world in 3 dimensions, even though you weren't really. Really kind of neat how they figured out how to do all this in 1993. But yeah, we can like click on these switches, and they do things that we'll find out about later. And we can just kind of go through and explore here. And right off the bat, we've got this note that was left by some guy that we'll learn more about later. It says, Catherine, I've left for you a message of utmost importance in our forechamber beside the dock. Enter the number of marker switches on this island into the imager to retrieve the message. Yours, Achenar. So we need to figure out what a marker switch is and where this forechamber is. It said it was beside the dock. So let's go down to the dock. Oh, whoops. Accidentally clicked on my screen capture there for a second. Yeah, there's this little room we can go down in. And this is kind of where our first puzzle is going to be at. If we look behind us on the wall, we can see this little, I guess, list of settings here. Yeah, there we go. Hold on. Which one said... There was one of them that said marker switch diagram. The note said something about marker switches, so we'll go ahead and punch that in. I think that was 47. Yeah. And now if we go ahead and activate this imager here, it should... Yeah, so it shows us that that's a marker switch. So we need to go around and count those on the island. So there's one here, and I'm just going to flip all these up as we find them. There's 1, 2, 3. There's lots of cool architecture in this game too. Like, you know, there's this library over here, all these pillars. What are we on, 4? Of course, I already know how many there are, so, you know, if we miscount or whatever, it's not a big deal. There's 5, 6. There's one here we can't get to, that's 7. At least not yet, anyway. And there's 8. And I think if I remember right, that should be the number that we need. So if we go back to the little chamber underneath the dock here, we should be able to put 8 into this imager and see whatever message this guy left for this Catherine lady.
Catherine, my love, I have to leave quickly. Something terrible has happened. It's hard for me to believe. Most of my books have been destroyed. Catherine, it's one of our sons. I suspect Achenar, but I shouldn't leap to conclusions. I'll find him and Sirrus as well. Oh, I should have known better than to have left my library unchecked for so long. Well, I've removed the remaining undamaged books from the library and placed them in their places of protection. You shouldn't have to use the books until I return. But if you've forgotten the access keys, remember the tower rotation. Oh, and don't worry, Catherine. Everything will be fine. I'll see you shortly. Oh, wait, and erase this message after you viewed it, just to be safe.
Okay, so that was a lot to unpack. Something about books and being destroyed, and one of the sons did it apparently. We'll learn more about that as we go. This is one of those games where the story kind of unfolds itself as you solve the puzzles. So if we go in here to the library, it's kind of one of the places that we haven't really looked at too much yet. See, there's this bookshelf over here. A bunch of these books that have all been burned or destroyed or something. There's this one, which will be important later. There's a few books that haven't been burned, and they've got a bunch of lore we can read. We might read through some of this later, just because it's interesting, or at least I find it interesting. Yeah, we'll read through some of these later. For now... Oh, there's these. We should look at those later. There's this map on the wall here. We can see it's got little, I guess, diagrams of all the places on the island. One of the things that's kind of hard to pick up on the first time you play this game is like exactly what this is all about and how those marker switches relate to it. Like if we got the tower rotation here, that'll be important in a moment. The message said something about that. But like, for example, if we go over to the rocket ship over here, and we flip this marker switch off, and we can see the rocket's no longer on the map. So that's actually what the marker switches are doing, is they're making different places show up on this map in the library. Which is something that I actually didn't really realize the first time or so I played this. It took me a while to realize that that's what was going on. But yeah, we can see that we can point the tower at different places. Which, you know, we got to figure out what to do with that. We've got these paintings over here. Yeah, let's go ahead and mess with these. Yeah, this game really leans into the whole, like, fantastical and, like, whimsical vibe, which is kind of neat. We got this elevator back here. That takes us up to somewhere. So now we're in the tower. We got a key here and book here. Yeah, books are big in this game, as we'll see later. There doesn't appear to be anything we can do up here just yet. So let's go back down to the library. If we click this other painting, that should close up the bookshelf and let us go back out if we want to. So there's these red and blue books that are very prominently placed on these pedestals. Let's go ahead and take a look at these. And these look suspiciously a little bit like the book that brought us here. It's all staticky, we can't really do anything with it yet. We've got this page here. we put that in the book. Hello.
Why? Bring me a red page. I can't see it. You don't let me to us. Make a bring. I am serious. Give it up. There is one thing I want to rescue.
Okay, so he wants red pages. Can't really hear him very well, though. Let's see what this one does. Kind of same thing as over there. It's all staticky. We can't really do anything with it until we put this page in.
Sirrus? Are you? See you. Achenar. Help me. Bring blue pages. Never. Just... I must have the blue page. Bring them to me.
Okay, so he wants blue pages. We've got a guy that wants red pages and a guy that wants blue pages. So we'll find more out about that later. Now, if we go back over to this this map here, there's a few spots. There's a few spots on the map which had this. We see it turns red when we point to it. And so we've rotated the tower in that direction, so we can go up and into the tower and see if there's anything that changed up there. Okay, so we can see that this is different. This is pointing at that big old tree over there, which makes sense because that's what we pointed it to on the map. And then over here, we've got what looks like it could be some kind of combination to a lock or something. So we'll just note that down, 724. We might want to use that later. We don't quite know what that goes to yet, though. Let's go back down. try pointing this at something else. And then we can go back up to the tower and see what else we see. Now it's pointing at the rocket ship, which again makes sense because that's what we pointed it to downstairs. And we've got 59 volts, so we're going to just make a note of that. We're going to need to put 59 volts somewhere, and we don't know where yet, but I'm sure we'll find it eventually. Got turned around a little bit. Let's see where else we can point this thing. Okay, we can point it at those big gears that were out by the dock. Yep, it's pointed at the gears. And now we've got what looks like a time and a combination, so we'll just make note of those. We'll have to put those in somewhere. Also point it at the little sunken ship thing that's out at the dock. So, yep, we're pointed at the ship. And we've got a set of dates here, dates and times that we're going to want to put in somewhere. And we're going to want to make a note of these. We might have to come back here later, because all the other codes are simple enough that I can usually remember them, but these ones are easy to forget just because there's so many of them. But we'll deal with those later. Okay, so now let's go ahead and explore the island a little. Oh, we gotta close up the bookshelf so we can get out of here. Yeah, let's explore the island in just a little bit more detail. Maybe we can find some places where we can put those codes in. Let's start off by going down this way, I think. Yeah, we haven't been in here yet. It's kind of underground area. what looks like some kind of generator room. If we turn around, there's this little diagram that says power and power to spaceship. So this is where we're going to want to put in our 59 volts from the tower. And how we do that, each of these little buttons gives a certain amount of power, and we got to find the right combination that leads to 59 volts. But if we just keep going, we go over that. If we go over that 59 volts, then it trips a breaker somewhere and makes it so we can't put the power in anymore. So let's go ahead and put in our 59 volts, but it's not getting to the spaceship yet because we tripped the breaker earlier trying to figure out how to get that 59 volts on. So let's go ahead and follow these wires out here, see where they go. We can see there's breakers on top of these towers. There's actually 2 of them. There's another one over here somewhere. Go ahead and flip. Oh, let's go ahead and flip the other one just for good measure. I think it was that first one that did it because it made the big thunk sound. Now if we go back down to the generators, yep, we got 59 volts going to the spaceship. So now if we go to the spaceship, we should be able to go in here. See, there's this device here. And there's this organ thing here. I spent so much time playing around with this thing specifically when I was a kid. Just trying to play different melodies and stuff on it. We've got this thing here that we can put different notes into. But we don't actually have enough information to solve this yet. We're going to have to get some information from somewhere now that... that's the thing about this game. Every time you solve a puzzle, it seems like it just unlocks another puzzle to solve. It just keeps going like that until you've solved all the puzzles. No, that's not where I wanted to go. Okay, so let's go down here, see what else we can do. So we've got this clock tower. And we can see if we turn these things, it changes the time on the clock. Now we got a time from the tower in there. That was 240. So let's go ahead and put 240 in. That should, yep. That unlocks the happen. And now we can flip this last marker switch up, just to kind of do it. And then if we go in here. Yeah, we've got a 3-digit combination that we're going to need to put in, and that was 221, I believe. And we can see it by turning these levers. This left lever turns the bottom 2. The right lever turns the top 2. So we need to figure out some way to get to... Oh, that was weird. We need to figure out some way to get to 221, but we've only got a certain number of moves to do it before this weight falls all the way down. We gotta reset it. But the trick to this one is I actually accidentally did that just barely, but if you hold the lever down, it'll just turn the middle one, which, let me tell you, that takes a long time to figure out just to think of holding the lever down. I don't know why it's so hard to think of that, but, you know. Got 211. It's not quite right. So if I go here, oh. Yeah, that's weird. It like accidentally. I wonder if there's something going on with whatever emulator I'm running on that's just not registering that I'm lifting up on the mouse button or something. Yeah, so we've got our 1 down at bottom. And now let's do that. There we go. Now that opened up this gear, which looks suspiciously like those other gears that are over on the other side of the island. You know, there's kind of a gear theme going on with these puzzles. Let's see if that did anything over there with those other gears. Yep, and sure enough, this big gear's open now. And what do we have here? A book. Yeah, that looks a lot like the book that brought us here, doesn't it? Let's not go there just yet. Let's try and figure out some more things here before we go there. Now, if we go into this cabin over here, we haven't really gone in here yet. Yeah, there's this safe here, what looks like some kind of a boiler or a furnace. Some kind of valve that seems like it turns some kind of gas flow on. There's a picture of this big tree. I can... Yeah, this big tree over here. So this is all connected somehow. Let's take a look at the safe. We've got a 3-digit combination. Now, if you remember when we pointed the tower over here earlier, we got a combination of, I believe it was 724. So let's go ahead and put that in, see what we get. We got some matches. It's gonna let me do this. Yeah, there we go. So we can light the match. Come over here and light the pilot light on the boiler. And then when we turn the gas on, it turns on the furnace. Something's going on out there. It's making the tree go up. I can't jump down just yet. We get a nice little view from up here. And then to go back down, we just... So that was cool, but it didn't seem all that useful yet. We'll have to come back to this later. You can still hear it going up over there. And then the last thing we need to check out is this room right here. You can still hear the tree going over there. Got this dentist chair looking thing. Yeah, this game has some really just unique art direction. We can turn the lights off and we can see that this is kind of a planetarium of sorts. You can see stars and stuff. We get in the chair. We can see that we can put in a date and a time. So this is where we're going to want to put in those dates and times from before. I don't remember what all the dates and times were, though, so we'll have to check back on that later. Oh, and one other thing we can check out. We've got all these symbols on these pedestals over here. So we're going to need to figure out which of these we need to flip on. And we got a model of that same boat from the dock over here, so presumably that has something to do with that. Okay, now at this point, let's go ahead and start reading some lore. That gives some important context for what's going on here. And some of it can even help with some of the puzzles or figuring out what to do with some of the puzzles. Let's go ahead and pick up this first intact book, start reading through it. And you can finish, you can go ahead and skip past this if you don't want to listen to it. I get not everybody's into the lore and stuff, but I find it interesting, so I'll go ahead and read it. It says, I have called this age Channelwood, and it is a very different world. Though it is exactly how I imagined it, it is still amazing to see it with my own eyes. Water covers this age as far as I can see, except for a small rocky island. Elsewhere there are only trees which grow directly out of the water. A myriad of thin wooden passageways are built just above the water and disappear into the forest. I assume they were built some time ago, for they appear aged. I am eager to discover more about this land and its people, but I have arrived here late and I must rest. So already we've got some pretty important information here. The place it's describing seems a little different from where we're at. It says, something about trees growing directly out of the water and stuff, and we haven't seen anything like that, so it's got to be talking about somewhere else. And it calls it an age. So anytime things or people in this game refer to ages, presumably it's talking about these other places. This particular age is called Channelwood, which we should be able to go there at some point. Let's continue reading. I was awakened this morning by strange noises coming from a pathway adjacent to the one on which I had slept. I saw a group of monkey-like people heading in my direction. They had not seen me yet. I did not feel threatened by their presence. Their response to me was one that I never would have expected. After staring at me for a short time, they fell to their knees and began what appeared to be some sort of ceremonial worship. I tried to speak to them, but they did not understand my language. Instead, they indicated through enthusiastic hand motions that I was to follow them. As we walked, I began to notice that the waters below us were changing colors. Slowly, subtly, they would change from deep blue to muddy orange, then from muddy orange to beautifully clear. I was so intrigued by the water, I hardly noticed that we had arrived at a ladder. Climbing the ladder led us to their village, which is about 10 meters above the water and can only be reached by rope ladders that stretch from the lower paths to the village level approximately halfway up the grand trees. It is very interesting watching these people carry out their daily tasks. Even after watching them for hours, I did not understand exactly what they were doing. At sunset, they motioned for me to follow them. I followed the creatures to the doorway of an enormous hut. Strangely, once inside, I found that the hut appeared even larger than it had from the outside. The walls were garnished with bright metals in the center of the hut. And in the center of the hut sat the leader of these people. At least he appeared to be their leader, for he sat a meter off the floor in a thick throne. Guards surrounded the strong creature, who was dressed in many exotic, colorful fabrics. Next to the leader sat a very old human, at least to some extent he appears human. His hair, which is only on his face and head, was completely gray, almost white, and hung very long around his frail body. His thin head hung limply by an almost grotesque neck that could not hold its head up to look at me. But what a surprise! This creature could speak my language. Shortly thereafter, I was given a bed with some hand motions that looked to be telling me to go to sleep. I look forward to learning more. As I suspected, the ancient creature is a human, but he is old beyond his own reckoning and seems almost insane. However, the tree dwellers almost revere him as a god. They are treating me now in the same fashion, which makes me feel very uncomfortable. It is almost impossible to understand this old man. His voice is feeble but wild. He has adopted much of the language of the tree dwellers. He himself told me he had not spoken our own tongue in ages. He attempted to explain to me the history of this place. The following is my best translation of what he has told me. Many years ago, the humans and tree dwellers lived together in this place, which was then a vast island. They interacted very little, and the humans dwelt on the ground, and the tree dwellers lived high above the humans. Occasionally, the island was disturbed by mysterious rumblings which happened randomly, some sort of tectonic or volcanic action, I suspect. The sometimes slight, sometimes heavy tremors would only last a short time. Then they would stop, allowing everything to return to normal. One day things changed. The rumbling began and grew quickly to unprecedented levels. Soon it became apparent that the entire island was sinking slowly into the ocean around them. Many of the humans died that day, but not before sacrificing themselves in order to stop the sinking of the island. The humans who lived through this catastrophe moved to the trees where they gradually died out, maybe because they were unequipped for such an environment, but I'm not sure. This is the story that the old man communicated to me, although many ideas are very unclear in my mind. I'm especially confused as to how the humans saved the island from completely sinking. In fact, I doubt the accuracy of that part of the story. The island must have stopped on its own. Yet the old man believes in the truth of the story as if he had been there, and the tree dwellers worship him and apparently all humans as if he or they were heroes or gods. The old man ended our conversation with an event which I will never forget. He began gripping my hands tightly, murmuring something about rest and asleep. Then he said, "We had expected you to come sooner." These actions filled me with a sort of immediate dread. With much effort, he stood to his feet. I tried to help, but he pushed me away with more force than I imagined his frail body contained. The tree dwellers quietly surrounded him with very solemn faces. They kneeled before him. He walked to each and placed his hand on their heads. All the while he murmured words which I did not understand. Finally he turned to me and smiled. Then he closed his eyes, walked out the door and off the narrow path high in the trees. The tree dwellers were silent. They began a procession down the nearest rope ladder. As I was descending, I saw several of them pick up the body. He had fallen into a lower level of walkway, and carry it away. He was laid down at the dead end of a short pier-like structure. With the use of some potion, one of the tree dwellers lit the pier on fire, and I watched as the flames engulfed him. As this strange funeral proceeded, the waters around the pier changed to dull green. This morning I awoke, finding it hard to even believe the previous evening's events. The water's a dull green as far as I could see now. For some reason, the water no longer shifts color. As I wander throughout the pathways, the creatures watch me, curious to see what I will do next. They are consistently offering me excuse me. They are constantly offering me strange objects of affection. I even found food outside the doorway to the room in which I had slept. This is a unique race of beings. I hope to learn their language soon so that I may learn more from them. And we can see the text changes colors, which we'll learn a little bit more about later. I've lived on this world off and on for 3 months. I've lived on this world for 3 months off and on, and the tree dwellers have shown great hospitality. I'm even beginning to learn bits of their language. I've decided to return home for an extended stay with my loving wife and my sons, and hopefully return with them. However, I'm sure Catherine will once again refuse. I think this age will be a wonderful experience for them all, and I at least look forward to how Sirrus and Achenar will react to its curious inhabitants. So we got a reference to Catherine, which is the lady that was referenced in that note and in the message, so we can presume that the person writing all of this is Achenar, who is the guy that signed the note from earlier. And we also see Sirrus and Achenar, which is the names of the sons that were mentioned in the note. So we're starting to piece things together as far as what all's going on here. Catherine is staying behind, as expected. My sons have returned with me, and they enjoy this age very much. They get along well with the tree dwellers and are picking up their language surprisingly fast. I have no doubt that it will not be too long until they can speak with the tree dwellers much better than myself. I am leaving tomorrow to check on Osmoian age. Sirrus has suggested that I allow him and his brother to stay. Though the idea unsettles me, I know the boys are growing up rapidly. The hospitality of these creatures is such that I could think of no better place to leave them alone for a short while, so I will consent to their request. I warned the boys not to take advantage of the respect the tree dwellers have for their ideas. They seemed to understand my warning, and I have faith they will follow it. Much to my dismay, upon arriving in Everdunes, I learned that Pran and her people are continuing to be menaced by the Choctic. I fear for their survival, and plan on returning to her shortly after checking on Sirrus and Achenar here. See Everdune's journal for more information. After watching Sirrus and Achenar, I see they're handling things very well, and I think I can put to rest any fears about leaving them in Channelwood again, and for a little longer time. The tree dwellers seem slightly distressed that I'm leaving, but are happy that Sirrus and Achenar are staying behind again. I've been gone for over 3 days and have been to many different places. I had to tell Sirrus and Achenar about Pran's death today. They were visibly shaken, although they only remembered her from her childhood. Catherine has suggested that it would be wise for Sirrus and Achenar to leave Channelwood for a while, and I have to agree. They will be returning with me when I leave again. I have told my sons that they will be returning with me in 2 days. They spent the entire night telling me of an adventure they experienced in my absence, and it was rather remarkable. It seems they constructed a boat with the creatures and traveled some ways out into the surrounding waters. I enjoy hearing them talk excitedly of their adventures, and am reminded of my own adventures as a child. I finally understand why the tree dwellers have been giving me their many inks and insisting I write with them. Looking through some of my past entries, I see now that the inks have changed from the black I thought they were to various different colors. I've shown some of the creatures my journal, and they laughed and howled. I did not know they had such a sense of humor. Even now, as I look through this very colorful journal, I cannot help but laugh myself. We will be returning tomorrow, so my sons are with the creatures for the last night here. They have told me they would like to come to Channelwood again, and also asked if they could visit some other ages alone. Though I will have to think over their request, I believe they have proven to me that they are trustworthy and responsible. Catherine will also have to help me decide whether they are ready for travel alone. For now, I must give my farewells to the creatures, for I do not know how long it will be until I visit this age again. And we've got a couple of pictures and diagrams. So there's a lot to unpack there. Apparently this guy Achenar can travel to different worlds somehow. And he has a wife and sons, and, things seem pretty hunky-dory for now. But, yeah, we'll come back and read some of this other stuff later. For now, let's see if we can go to Channelwood. And I happen to already know how to do that. But the way we can do that is having to do with this. There we go. It'll let me look up from here. We can use this elevator. If we turn the gas back off, it'll go back down to where it was before. And we can actually ride the elevator down to below where it was. It takes a while to... And there we go. Now if we go back out... There we go. The tree should be coming down now. Just wait for it. Wait for it to get here. Now we can see we're going down underground again. And what have we here? And that looks pretty much like Achenar was describing in his journal, trees going directly out of the water and all that. Let's go ahead and click in here and go there. Right, I have to actually click in a second time. I forgot that's how that worked. And there we go, now we're in Channelwood. We got all these paths running everywhere. Let's explore a little bit. Got all these mechanisms and such that don't really appear to be working yet. And we can switch these valves, which will do something later. Yep, nothing works yet. So let's go ahead and follow all these pipes back to their source. And you can see that leads us to the windmill. Yeah, this game has a lot more things to do than just things on the starting island. Each world in this game has its own unique puzzles to solve, which is kind of neat. Yeah, this this lever is kind of funny. I think I saw some kind of interview or something with the creators of this game where the interviewer was asking them about this lever in particular. It was like, yeah, what does that lever do? And they were like, yeah, no one knows. It's just kind of a little thing that's there. We turn on this valve here. Now we can hear water flowing through these pipes, and we should be able to direct it to where we want to get power to. So there seems to be these paths up here above us. And there's this elevator here, which needs power to operate. So let's go ahead and follow this back. Make sure all these are set to the correct direction to get power here. And it looks like, yep, I can hear water in the pipes. So that's all working now. Close the door and pull the lever. It should take us up to the second level. Now, this age of Channelwood kind of showcases one of the big design or narrative, I guess, themes of this game. You know, that journal that we just read talked about a bunch of inhabitants that lived here, but, you know, where is everybody? So, something must have happened to them. And that message that we saw from Achenar earlier in the game indicated something about his books being destroyed, so that's got to have something to do with it, right? We'll figure out more about that as we go. About what happened here. Just kind of explore here a little bit. This upper area is kind of a maze. Ah, yeah. So here we can't really do anything with this yet because it's not powered. We gotta power that from below. So we gotta figure out some way of powering this from below while still being able to get up here. So just go ahead and keep looking around. There should be some kind of something around here. Ah, yeah, here it is. Yeah, so if we explore around here for a while, we find this lever. We can see that opens up that door here. So we can make our way back there. It took a very long time to find that the first time playing this, just because there's so many paths and dead ends and such to go through up here. So we go down. Open this door from the outside, and that gives us a path to get back up to that upper walkway without having to use that elevator to get up there. So if we switch the power, and that's now powered, and we can go up and take that elevator up to the upper level. There's this building we can go into here. And this looks like some kind of temple, a sacrificial altar type thing, maybe. And that guy looked a lot like the guy in the blue book that was wanting blue pages. So it looks like maybe he was getting whoever lived here to worship him or whatever. So maybe that indicates that he's not necessarily the best kind of person. We've got this kind of shabby looking bedroom over here. We got a blue page. Yeah, he wanted blue pages, so let's grab that. We got all these buttons here, and yeah, that's how he controls that sacrificial altar thing. If we listen to this last one real quick.
I hope I pushed the right button, my dear brother. What a very interesting device you have here. I'm not erasing anything important, am I? Remember, he is preparing. Take only one page, my dear brother.
Okay, so that looked a lot like the guy in the red book. So that kind of indicates that maybe they were plotting together or something. So, you know, maybe they're both kind of not so great. And there's this other path we can go down. And there's this kind of nicer looking bedroom with a bunch of overturned chairs and stuff. So some kind of altercation evidently happened there. This game does a good job of environmental storytelling, like telling a story without actually telling it to you. So, you know, something obviously went down here. And we got a red page. We can only actually carry one page at a time, though, so we'll have to come back for that. We can look in these drawers. There's a knife here. There's this kind of half page. It says something about vault access, switches on the island, marker switches, off position. So we're going to have to find the other half of that note to be able to make sense of this. I'm sure we'll find that someplace. Sink here, which looks like it hasn't been cleaned in a while. Moldy cheese, so that's been sitting there for a while. So yeah, whatever happened here, it happened a good little bit ago. Yeah, let's go back down the elevator and see if we can figure out how to get out of here. There's still a couple of paths we haven't really fully explored down at the bottom level yet. Let me out. There we go. So yeah, let's go over this way. See if we can't figure out some of this other stuff. So yeah, there's this thing that needs power, so let's go ahead and follow these back to the... Oh, no, that's already set correctly. Follow these back to the entrance and see if we can't... Oh. No, I done got myself turned around. Okay. That's okay. We can still figure out which way we need to send this. Okay, yeah, that all looks correct to me. Yeah, so now this is getting power. And now we've got this second elevator up here, which leads up to this place that we haven't been yet. Let's figure out how to get power to this. Got this little extender pipe that connects there. So if we go back around and route power over to that pipe, and we should be able to... Oh, no, that's already set right. That's right. Switch that to go over this way. Switch that to go over that way. Now that's flowing through the little extender pipe. And now we should have power to this other elevator over here. That takes us up to this little hut. And it's got a Myst book. takes us back to home base. And that's kind of generally how all of these little side worlds will go. There'll be a few puzzles to lead us to the red and blue pages, and there'll be a few puzzles to lead us to the Myst book to get back to the main island. So yeah, there'll be lots and lots to do in this game. Let's go ahead and put this blue page in the blue book. See what this guy has to say for himself.
He returned. He wouldn't return. These pages rescue me. I'm Achenar. My brother, I beg you. To be complete. Always blue pages. Listen to him. Now listen to my brother. He's a fool and a liar. Bring me the blue pages. The red ones. Don't bring the red ones. I implore you. I've been wrongfully imprisoned. You must I will have my retribution. Please bring me the blue pages. Pages.
Okay, so he's wanting blue pages pretty badly. He's also saying, don't bring the red ones. He also said his name is Achenar, which is the name of one of the sons. So he's trapped in that blue book. Okay, so let's go back to Channelwood and grab the red page. I'll just take a moment to turn the furnace back on, get the tree back up and back down. And yeah, I might speed this part of the video up just because, you know, it's stuff we've already done before, so I'll see you when we get back to Channelwood. There we go. Now, let's go grab the red page. We'll back up the elevator. Where's that red page at? It was in one of these drawers, wasn't it? There we go. So now that we got the red page, we can go back to Myst. And give the red page dude, see what he has to say. I need to flip the... yeah, there we go. That way we've got power to the elevator that brings us to the Myst book. Let's see what the red page guy has to say.
Return. You must continue. My name is Sirrus. I beg you to find the remaining red pages. You must read. Release me from this book which has become. I need more red pages, please. Beg. Don't waste time. Look. Don't. My brother is guilty. And I wrongfully imprisoned. Bring the red page to me.
Yeah, very dramatic, that guy. But yeah, we got more information again. So he's Sirrus, which is also one of the names of the sons. So both of this guy's sons are trapped in these books. And they're both wanting you to bring only their pages and not the other guy's pages. Alright, let's see, what do we want to do next? So we're all done with Channelwood. Let's go ahead and read another one of these books. And again, if you don't want to listen to this, you can just skip ahead. But I'm going to read through it because I think it's interesting. Emmett was the first to live on the rocks. He named them the rocks because that is what they were. A group of sharp rocks clustered together in the middle of a large sea. This is where Emmett lived. He enjoyed his life. Emmett would occasionally swim to nearby rocks as it was never too far of a distance. One day another person appeared on the rocks for no apparent reason to Emmett. Emmett named this new person Branch. Emmett and Branch quickly became friends, swimming and hunting for fish together often. Emmett showed Branch the simple cave in which he lived on the largest rock. Soon Branch discovered a place where he decided to live, also on the same large rock. The sun always shone brightly in their world, and the water was always dazzlingly clear, allowing them to see almost to the deep ocean floor which surrounded them. Though the sun always shone, it was never too hot for the boys. A light breeze always came from the north and cooled the area down. One day while Branch was swimming and having fun in the water, he noticed another boy swimming. Branch brought the new boy to Emmett to find out what to call the new boy. Emmett said the boy should be called Will. Will was soon part of the group, and all three boys swam and enjoyed their perfect world. At least that is the story that I was told when I arrived today on the island. Emmett, Branch, and Will were surprised to see me at first, but even before the night was ended, we were all becoming good friends. Today, the second day on this newly created age, a strange thing happened. It was not strange to me, but the three boys did not understand what was happening. While I was relaxing under a large tree, on one of the smaller rock islands, it began to rain. It was a nice rain that lasted for about an hour in the morning. I explained to the boys that the rain was not harmful, yet they obviously still feared it. Before going to sleep tonight, I told the boys I would leave the following day. I told them that while I was gone, I would make a surprising change in their world. They didn't understand, not that I expected them to. I still do not fully understand what happened today. I was experimenting with the art, testing the limits of the rules as dictated to me by Father. I attempted to create a boat by riding it into the world. I thought everything was planned correctly, yet somehow the boat had become gripped by the rock and broken in half. Although this test did not turn out as I had hoped, I now have answers to a few of the questions my father never answered. As for the boat, I can see the boys enjoy it anyway, and with that I am pleased. They have played on it all day. Even though the boat cannot move, I have enjoyed studying from it. It is a much sturdier platform than the jagged rocks. In the course of my observations, I have learned some very interesting things regarding the solar system of this age. The nights are absolutely beautiful here. I have made note of and named a number of constellations that pass above me. Also, during the night, I catch glimmers of light from the horizon, which I have not been able to discover if it is created by some natural phenomenon or by additional people on far off islands or rocks. I should very much like to discover which. I rather suspect it is additional people, which would explain the appearance of Branch and Will. The rain today was slightly heavier than usual. Just when the boys were getting used to the light rains, a small storm arrived. They were frightened of the heavier rain, not to mention the thunder and lightning. If rain has never fallen here until recently, as the boys tell me, I would like to discover why it is falling now. Regardless, I have decided to return home for a short while. I have also been thinking of some plans for a lighthouse that I hope to construct soon. I think that perhaps by shining a bright light toward the horizon, it might prove my suspicions regarding additional inhabitants. They would be curious about the light and travel to discover its source, if they have the means. I returned with many tools that I would need for construction of the lighthouse. I have decided that once the lighthouse is completed, I will leave for some time and let the world's own imagination have control. We have worked 3 weeks now on the lighthouse, and are making great progress. The rock that we are building on seems to not be as secure as I would like. I've had to alter my plans slightly, but those alterations pose no real problem. The boys are quite strong and have been helping me immensely. I estimate that construction will be done within 2 days. The lighthouse is finished, and we are all proud of our creation. The boys are amazed at the structure wrought from rock with their own hands. That evening we powered up the generator, much to the boys' dread at first, and shined a great light to the horizon for many hours. I stayed the night on top of the lighthouse, and in the morning awoke to observe the sunrise without my being coated with the chilly blanket of ocean dew that I had become accustomed to. It was Will who first saw the girl. She was swimming not far from the boat where Will was getting ready to hunt for fish. Then Will noticed a man not far away from the girl. Emmett was very pleased to meet the additional neighbors. I feel pleased to leave this age. I have set in motion events that have nothing to do with writing or the art that will have a more profound impact on this world than I could have ever written. I think of this age as a gift to myself that I will wrap up and open someday in the future, only to discover that it has indeed changed. Only to discover that it has changed so much that indeed it is a surprise. Besides, I have yet another new age that awaits me. It seems I'm going to need some way to travel underwater in this new age, and so much planning is in order. It's been 10 years since I left this age, which I have since called the Stoneship Age. Upon returning, I cannot believe the changes that have taken place. The original 3 boys have grown into adults, and there are many new faces that I do not recognize. Branch told me that it has not rained for 7 years, and the cool breezes are back again. They are all very content, and have been serving me with new foods and showing me new materials they have discovered. It even seems that they have found gold somewhere. I see it in many forms around the island. My lighthouse has been kept in perfect condition, and it looks as if they have tried their very best to keep it so. Yet I have noted that the entire rock it was built on has sunk approximately 40 or 50 centimeters. After a wonderful visit with my old friends, I wonder aloud with them what things will be like here in another 10 years. Then we've got some constellation diagrams. Those will be important later. So yeah, lots of information to unpack in that book. We get more information on how these worlds work and how Atreus is able to travel to them. Apparently he either creates or links or whatever to them by writing in books. So that's something that we'll learn more about. So yeah, let's see if we can try to get to Stoneship. That's going to have to do with this boat. And there were constellations in that book, which which means we probably need to figure out this this little observatory room here. That's going to be a good place to look for constellations. But let's go ahead and go back up into the tower. Make sure we got it pointed in the right direction. Yep, it's pointed at the boat. Because there were some dates there that we can enter into the constellations, or into the planetarium. That's the word I was looking for. English is hard sometimes, guys. I don't know what to say. So these are the dates that we need to put in. I'm going to grab something to write with, so I can write these down, because I can never remember exactly what they are. So we've got October 11th, 1984 at 10:04 a.m. Got January 17th, 12:07 at 5:46 a.m. And we got November 23rd, 91 at 6:57 p.m. Okay. So let's go back down to the planetarium, put those dates in, and see what we get. Oh, yeah, we've got to open up the thingamajig. And there's also these little symbols here, which we'll need to pay attention to here in a minute. Okay, so let's go ahead and put in our first date. Got October 11th, 1984. Oops, wrong one. I always think it's funny how the music has to stop for a little bit when you push the button because the game can't handle playing two sounds at once, apparently. Okay, 1984 at 10:04 a.m. Let's see what happens. Okay, so that's a constellation, so we'll make note of that. And let's put in our second date. We got January 17th. 12:07. At 5:46 a.m. See what that gives us. Okay, so we've got another constellation here, so we'll make note of what that one is. And then let's put in our third date. November 23rd. 9791. At 6:57 p.m. our third constellation, so we'll make note of which one that is. And then let's go over to the book we just read in the library. We can cross-reference which constellations it just showed us. See what we can find out by doing that. So our first constellation is this one right here. And that's got a picture of a leaf. And our second constellation is this one here, and that's a picture of a snake. And our third constellation is over here, and that's our picture of a bug. And it just so happens that all of these symbols, actually, these are the same symbols that are on those pillars over by the reflecting pool. Yeah, these symbols here. So if we go ahead and figure out which... yeah, here's our leaf. Let's try and see where the snake is. Not that one. Nope, not that one. Nope, not that one. Here's the snake. And the bug. And something's happening. Yep, we've just caused the boat to unsink itself, I guess. I mean, maybe there's a word for that that I just can't find right now, but you know what. And we've got another book, which should take us to Stoneship. Yeah, a bunch of rocks in the water. There's the lighthouse he talked about. There's the boat that got cut in half by the rock. So, yep, this is Stoneship. Cool, so now we have a new place to explore. Let's go ahead and explore it. This telescope up here. Mouse is being weird. So there's the lighthouse. You know, rocks and stuff, you know. Let's see what else there is to see. We've got these passageways down here, which are full of water. This passageway is full of water. We got this lighthouse, which is full of water, and we got a locked hatchway up there. There doesn't really seem to be much we can do with those yet. We got these here. We got these 3 buttons. Let's see what that did. What's that? Yeah, so that pumped all the water out of the lighthouse. So yeah, those buttons pump water out of different places, it appears. So let's go ahead and see what's down here in this place that we just pumped the water out of. There's this chest. We can drain the water out of it. Now if we close that back up, that chest is going to be full of air. So presumably, if we put the water back in here, then that should cause the chest to float up to the top. That's one of the cooler puzzles in this game, in my opinion. Not very exciting, but cool that they thought to, you know, incorporate something like that in here, where you just use real-world logic to figure out what to do. So that chest is up here, and we can open it with this key, which gives us another key, which we can use to unlock this. And we can see what's up here. We've got a dynamo. should charge up this battery. Let's give it a bit more. Yeah, that'll do. So yeah, now, let's see, which one did I... Yeah, that turns the lights on in here. And when I pumped the water back into the lighthouse, it opened up this path. So let's go ahead and explore and see what's down here. Yeah, it's pretty dark down here. Can't really see much of anything. So we're going to have to figure out a way to get lights on down here. Let's try this third switch that we haven't messed with yet. And that should... Yeah, open up these paths down here. And we've got this room down here that we can explore. Nice fancy bedroom. Lots of little... A lot of things in this game are just kind of technology showpieces from, you know, back in the day when this kind of computer-generated artwork is still pretty new, at least the kind of artwork that's this high fidelity. Not really high fidelity by today's standards, but for 1993, this was about as good as you could get. There's our red page. And we've got these different fabrics here. We've got this little symbol here. Just kind of keep that symbol in the back of our mind. Yeah, got treasures and coins, so whoever was in here was obviously very well off. Oh, did I just turn right back around? Yep, I got turned around. So that looks like that's all there is to do here. Let's go back out. See, I don't know if this is the other way. Yeah, this is back the same one we were just in. Okay, so we gotta find the other path. Where are you at? There you are. So now if we go on this other one, the water should be pumped out of here too. There we go. And we've got this room, which is a little more sinister and creepy. We've got blue page here, so we'll have to come back for that later because we can only carry one at a time. And we got this nice little rose that turns into a skull. That's not creepy at all. Different maps and things. Here's the other half of that note from earlier. So basically, if we piece the two halves of that note together, it'll tell us that there's a vault that we can access by turning on all the marker switches and then turning the one at the dock to the off position. So we'll just keep that in the back of our mind. So we'll come back to this later. Now there's this thing here that's kind of hard to see. This little secret passageway in the wall. Real easy to miss if you're going too quickly through here. But we can crawl in here. There's this compass here. All these buttons. And if we just kind of pick one. But it makes it pretty obvious that that was not the right one to click on. Let's go ahead and come back out of here. And we'll have to go back to the little generator thing and power that back up because it shorted out our power apparently. Okay, so yeah, that's back up. Oh, whoops. Oh. I didn't even know you could do that. More you know. Okay. So there's a compass down there and there's a telescope up here with degree markings. So we got to look for some sort of something on this telescope to indicate what button we should push on that compass. And really the only thing that stands out is the lighthouse, which is right at 135 degrees. So that's a pretty strong indication that that's the button that we should push on our compass. If we look here, we got 0 degrees here, 90, 180, halfway between 180 and 90 is 135. So if we push that button, we have lights. So that should mean that we have light down here now. So if we go ahead and do that. And there's the Myst book. Let's go ahead and give the red guy his page and see what more he can tell us.
Have returned. Additional page. Leave from my prison on this forgotten island of Myst. I see that you are. I am called Sirrus. I need all the red pages. I know. Must search and bring 2 more for the red pages. I am released. I promise. Don't touch the blue pages. That is where my brother. For my wicked brother, Achenar. He is a man of distorted mind and senses. He disgusts me. Do not release Achenar. Thirst for destruction is not. Never ending. Bring the red paper. May you please release me from this prison. I promise you will be greatly rewarded. You must help me. Help me.
All right, so it seems like he's kind of trying to play the blame game here. Like whatever happened, he's saying his brother did it. But you know, based on what we've seen, we have reason to believe that neither of these guys are really that trustworthy. So let's just go ahead and go back and get the blue page. We'll get both of them until we have a reason to trust one over the other. just go in here. Yeah, the power's off again, so we have to deal with that. Oh, that's the wrong one. We want the blue page. We already got the blue page. So let's grab the blue page. Do the power thing again. We already know how to do that. It's just going to take a little bit of time. So I might just fast forward through all this and catch you guys once we get back to Myst.
Good. Still more pages you find. Bring more. I must have some more. That's all I ask of you. Long. It's so long since my brother, Sirrus, wrongfully imprisoned me within this book. Stupid schemes. Pretty speech. Greed, which is endless. It should be perfectly obvious to you. He's done evil and he has destroyed all before. Do not bring the red pages to him. Not let him trick you. He tricked our father. Hideously murdered our father. He'll trick you. He'll murder you. Don't touch the red pages. I beg you to bring the blue pages. To me, listen, you must obey me. Blue pages are my only hope. You must help me. You must help me.
Okay, so it's kind of the same deal with this guy. He's trying to play the blame game too, just trying to say, hey, you know, a bunch of bad stuff happened and my brother did it. So we're all done with Stoneship now. Let's go ahead and grab the next book off the shelf and see what we can find out. It has been a while since I've heard only silence, and I enjoy it greatly. I think. For some reason, I do not feel altogether welcome in this new world in which I have arrived. But how could I be unwelcome in an age with no inhabitants? It is, of course, only in my head. This world is very beautiful, but I think I have yet to ever write in a journal that an age I have linked to is horrid or disgusting. From the grassy hill where I am standing, I can see green fields below, along with a few scattered forests. A rather large lake looms some distance from where I'm standing, yet the water's blue can be seen plainly from here. The air is fresh, and the sky is sparkled with white clouds. It is absolutely breathtaking, and yet that strange feeling again. Perhaps it is the hot breeze that continues to blow from the north. Hotter than I would have imagined. It almost singes my skin, and I feel quite uncomfortable when it comes. I will try to ignore it. Night has almost arrived, and the sunset is spectacular. Oranges and reds have settled above the western horizon. Though night has come, the horizon still glows red long past the sunset. Dark reds flow from the horizon and blend into the black sky. Again the feeling, and I am beginning to believe it is not all in my mind. I must sleep now. I will need my strength to explore more tomorrow. I have had to return home due to an unpredictable natural occurrence more frightening than I have ever experienced. I was awakened by terrible shakings in the ground, and explosions on all sides of me. Gigantic balls of fire were falling from the sky, and I immediately left in fear of my life. I must remember to bring a Myst linking book with me when I return, in case the one left there has been destroyed or damaged. I have returned to a different world than the one I left only 3 months ago. It has been transformed into a barren desert land, with only gigantic craters scattered across the land to provide variety. Strangely enough, the small grassy hill where I spent my first night remains exactly the way I found it. Apparently, the falling meteors did not hit this area, leaving an oasis in the midst of this horrible destruction. In the midst of this horrible desolation. Not destruction. The hot wind, I remember, has turned into a rather pleasant breeze, which is at least one improvement. I fear it is the only improvement. That magnificent lake I saw on my first visit is now completely dried up. However, another lake exists and appears to be quite a bit larger. I assume one of the falling meteors created this lake due to its circular shape and the jutting rock that grows out of the center of the lake. The rest of this world seems like desert, although I will verify that statement with closer inspection. Though this world has little visual excitement to offer, it offers much to the ears. Sounds constantly flow through my ears, and I have found where a few of them originate. It seems, as Catherine says, I do find beauty in everything. Last night I was awakened by a horrible hissing. I was sweating, and the heat was so intense that I immediately dipped my head in a nearby stream to cool it down. The hot breezes had returned, along with a low roar from the ground. I walked a short distance to observe some red flames shooting up from the earth. Suddenly the ground began to crack, and a huge chasm opened. The chasm continued to grow until it was far too wide to cross. Then the tumult subsided, leaving only a dull roar. I have decided, however, I can use the chasm to my advantage. Perhaps the heat from the chasm can be harnessed. Even as the chasm has ripped into the surface of this world, it has opened up a whole new world to explore. Although uncomfortably hot, I found it possible to reach a cave in the chasm that had been created, and have now explored deep into the crust of this planet. I have found a vast underground cave system that will take many years to map and explore. I will also look for a safer way to reach the underground than through the chasm wall. This age seems to change on its own, so I feel I should leave again and see if the things are different when I return. It is also important that I check on Sirrus and Achenar and make sure everything is going well. When I return, I will also hope to bring back some tools I will need for my plans to explore the underground. The abundance of raw materials here is beginning to amaze me. I have returned with some of the complex tools that I knew I would be needing. I assumed I would have to return for more basic materials, however, it seems as though I will be able to find everything I need here. Of course, iron is abundant, but I have also found titanium occurring naturally. I am all the more excited to begin work. Everything is set, and I look forward to tomorrow. My raw materials are all here. I think I will be able to have most of my additions to this age completed within 1 year. I so love working with my hands, whether writing or building. I began, and it kind of tapers off there for some reason. And I have decided 3 meters is not enough support for the beams, although yada yada yada. Amazingly strong. To be one of my most prized inventions, I am extremely... would never have imagined it to come together. I doubt... could possibly work with 14 instead of... completely fatigued. I'm so happy to have completed yada 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 tomorrow. I am leaving in order to bring back Sirrus and Achenar. I have left them alone in Channelwood. I believe they will enjoy all there is to see here. The age seems to have stabilized. I believe the meteors set off a period of volcanic activity by piercing into the shallow crust. But the tremors have become few. I have just noticed that a large amount of this journal has curiously vanished from the very pages on which I wrote over the last 18 months. Fortunately, I have copied many of my construction notes in another journal. I do not understand the many mysteries of this world, but I trust I will discover logical answers to my questions. I have a feeling that many of my questions can be answered in another age to which I hope to travel soon. But for now, I must simply accept this world's mysteries and take pride in my accomplishments. And it's got a keyboard here. And that should let us do some more stuff inside the rocket ship later, so we'll just take a note of these notes on the keyboard. And that should still be set up. Yeah, we can still get in there. And so those notes on the keyboard are something like... No, not that one. There we go. So it's like... So if we replicate that pattern over here... Yeah, I'm a little more musically inclined than some people, so this one's a little easier for me to do than it probably normally would be. And we've got a book. Takes us to this age. It doesn't actually give the name of this age in the journal itself, but on the spine of the journal, you can kind of sort of make out that it says that it's the Selenitic age. It's a little hard to see on this recording, I think, just because of the emulator that I'm using and the recording software that I'm using. It kind of pixelates things a little bit more than they normally would be. But it's there. So let's just kind of explore. Got this path over here. Got some running water somewhere. A switch that we should probably turn on. We've got a blue page. We'll hang on to that. Got what looks like a microphone over this water. Capturing the sound, maybe. Let's kind of explore some more. Here's the big chasm that he was talking about in the journal. Let's turn that on. And a busted up clock tower. Let's turn that on. Again, it's got a microphone that's collecting the sound for some purpose that we don't know about yet. Got a red page, but we'll come back to that later. Another microphone. And we have a tunnel, so let's go down the tunnel. Flip on the lights. Flip on the lights. See where this goes. And we've got this control panel here. And we can go ahead and rotate the view. If we get it at just the right angle, this one's somewhere in the fog from what I remember. Yeah, here we go. There we go, so that one's aligned. And we got all these other ones, so we're going to have to align all of these with their respective sounds. This whole age is pretty much just sound puzzles. So which one is this? No, it's not that one. This one's the lava chasm thing. Yeah, there we go. This one's the clock. Somewhere around... Yeah, there it is. Get that line think this one's the other way. This is the crystal things. And this one's the wind tunnel. Which ought to be... Oh, I might have gone the wrong way around here. There it is. And then if we push this button down here, that gives us a sequence of sounds, and that's going to be important. We're probably going to need to put that in somewhere. Let's just listen to that one more time. So we've got crystal, water, wind tunnel, lava, and then the clock. So let's try and remember that. And see where we can use that. And this building over here near the entrance that I kind of just walked straight past, actually, when I was coming through here on the way from the rocket ship. It's got this panel where we can input 5 different sounds, and we had a sequence of 5 different sounds from back there, so let's see if we can find those 5 sounds on here. Oh gosh, what were they? The crystal was the first one, I think. Yeah, then it was the water. Wind tunnel, and then it was the lava thing, and then it was the clock. Let's see if that's right. I might have to go back if I got this wrong and listen to it again. We'll see. Hey, first time. We got a yellow submarine, guys. Yeah, let's see where this takes us. Going underground. So we've got this sound that plays, and we've got a way to go forward. We can go north, and we can also turn around to various different directions, but they're all blocked off. All except for north. So let's go north. Now, this particular puzzle, a lot of people really, really don't like it. But I actually don't mind it because there is a way to figure it out if you're paying attention. So we have another sound here, which is different from the sound that we got at that first place. We can't go north here. We can go south, but that's the way we came from. See what other direction we can go. So we can go west. So the only ways we can go here is west and south. South is back the way we came, so we don't want to go south, so let's go west. And if you notice, we've got that same sound from that first one. So we can't go west again. Let's see what other directions we can go. We can go back east, but that's 3. And we can go north, which just happens to be the same direction we could go at the first spot, and we got the same sound that played at the first spot. So that tells us that what these sounds are doing is telling us which direction to go. So if we go north, so that ding sound means to go north. And that kind of weird, I don't really know what to call that sound, but we could go west there. Okay, so we got a different sound from the north sound. So that means we don't want to go north. We already know what the sound for west is, and we didn't get the west sound. We don't want to go south, because that's back the way we came. So that means that this sound, this new sound, has got to mean we want to go east. So let's go ahead and test that by seeing if we can go east here. And we can. So yeah, that kind of hissing sound, yeah, that means we want to go east. And then the whole rest of this maze is basically just designed to test how well you've understood that whole concept of, you know, hey, sound is telling you which way to go. And, you know, it's possible to just go through this whole thing and map it out, but that's completely unnecessary if you know how the puzzle works. So we got the east sound again, and we can go east here, so let's go east. Okay, so we've got a new sound that we haven't heard before, and the only sound we haven't heard before yet is south. So let's see if we can go south. And indeed we can. And south again. Okay, and there's our west sound. So let's go west. And here we've got two sounds at once. Let me play that again. It's the south sound and the west sound. That means we want to go southwest. And that's just west. And that's northwest. It takes a while to go through this, but not nearly as long as it would if you sat down and like mapped the whole thing out instead of just listening to the sounds. That was northeast, I think. that's north. Should be getting pretty close to the end, I think. What's that? Southeast, I think. And there we are. And there's our Myst book. So let's go ahead and give Achenar his blue page and see what he has to say.
My friend. Bring in the blue pages. I see. Convinced the Sirrus is guilty. Pray, do not release him. He will destroy me just to see him. Innocent bystander. I've been wrongfully tricked into imprisonment. You have observed his unbridled lust for riches! In the 4 remaining worlds, some plot, it was almost perfect! Final blow to father. You tricked him into believing that it was I who was the murderer. I didn't murder father. Bring me the remaining. Please. Liar. All in a liar. Must not be free. The remaining blue pages from the last age of Myst. I must be free. You must free me. I cannot bear here for eternity. Free me.
Okay, so basically just more of the same from him. He's a bit unhinged, but, you know, to be fair, if you were trapped in a book for who knows how long, you might be a little unhinged too. So let's go back to Selenitic Age and get Sirrus's red page. I'll probably just kind of fast forward a little bit and meet you guys on the other side, because it's going to take a while because we got to go through that whole underground maze thing again. But yeah, I'll catch you guys once we're done with that. Alright, we're back. So let's go ahead and give Sirrus his red page and see what he has to say for himself.
With each page I can see more clearly. Soon, free from this horrible prison. This book. You must visit the one remaining age. You have have not comforted that victim. And my brother Achenar is demented. He is guilty. He took advantage of the freedom our father had given us. Achenar begins it. I ask you again. Do not retreat, courageous. He will destroy both myself and you, just as he destroyed the other creatures of Myst. Never will escape. You must simply bring the red. Tell them the story that I, your wisdom. You will see that I am innocent and he is guilty. This forgotten island long ago. I will owe you my life, and you will be greatly rewarded.
Alright, so again, more of the same kind of stuff. He's offering a reward, though, so, you know, there's that. Okay. So there's one more age we've got to go to. Just go ahead and read the book for that age real quick. Before arriving in this age, I was determined that it would be a journey to a world very different from my previous adventures, and it was. The sky here is dark and gray, and incessantly displays flashes of lightning in the distance. I met a very old man with a long blonde beard and hair that hangs to his waist. He is very feeble and has trouble even moving. This man has obviously been through many things in this strange world, and I have learned many things from him. He has told me an interesting story of this world's history. Years ago, he told me, there was a beautiful city that rose up out of the water. It housed many people inside its walls, and the people had everything they wished for. The city was surrounded by 3 high hills which rose higher than the city. On the east hill of the city rested a large lookout post. The people of the city had constructed the post expecting visitors to arrive from the east. The people had no means of traveling on the water, which forced them to merely wait for friend or foe. As time passed, friendly visitors brought rumors of an enemy that existed beyond the horizon. The people grew fearful, yet nothing happened. One day, the usually sunny sky became as dark as night, and the black ships appeared on the horizon. The lookout post's attempts at peace were turned away, and the sentries there were easily overwhelmed. The ships continued to wreak havoc on the city, apparently destroying everyone and everything. After the foundations of the city were destroyed, the city sunk deep into the ocean, and only the lookout post remained. The black ships sailed away. The man continued to say that 8 people had hidden and managed to survive through the attack. In the 9 years since the attack, 2 of the survivors had died. He also said that it was rumored that 10 years from the attack, the enemy would return to finish the destruction they had started so long ago. I have decided, since hearing the man's story, it would be admirable to save this civilization and stop this enemy's plan of destruction. I am excited about the adventure that awaits me and have an idea has sparked in my mind to provide the needed defense for these people. I met the remaining survivors today and begun work on a plan for protection. After a short absence, I have returned to this age with my 2 sons. They have, as of yet, traveled rarely with me, and they are understandably excited to be here. They have grown considerably since Everdunes, and it is already obvious to me that they will be a great help to me this time instead of the nuisance they have been in the past. All 3 of us, along with 4 of the healthier survivors, began construction today. We are building upon the old city's ruins, which will provide a perfect foundation for our fortress. My sons have been spending much of their spare time on the South Island, where most of my materials are stored. I am very pleased with their intelligence and their creativity. It is refreshing to see as they work on some small projects of their own. It has been over 4 months now, and construction is going well. My sons love the world except for its gray sky. They detest the gray sky and tell me many times they wish the sky here were like the blue sky in Myst. The old man I first talked to tells me that the enemy is due in 4 months. I feel we will be ready by the time when the time comes. The man reminds me of Emmett in many ways, and I often wonder how Emmett and his people are doing. It has been 6 months of work, and we have finally finished the fortress. It rests between the 3 hills, which are now only islands due to the rising water level that the people experienced after the attack. Inside the fortress, I have designed a most intriguing device. It makes use of a technology called holography I began experimenting with on my visits to Achenar. It will be working in a couple of days after I compensate for some small miscalculations. This holographic device will enable the survivors to learn to use the fortress. The enemy is due to come soon, and I trust the fortress will provide sufficient protection for all of us. The black ships have come. Their attack was substantial. Their weapons have been stopped, and it appears they have turned away in defeat. I could not help but smile as I watched the boats leave. And we've got the insignia of the black ship, which we should recognize from one of those rolls of cloth that we saw in Stoneship Age in the bedroom there. Last night we had a small celebration, and the old survivors danced their dances of old. My sons did not understand why the sky had not turned back to its original blue. The man told them that the storms would never end until the enemy was destroyed. I assured my sons that a blue sky was not worth the risk of death, and they seemed to hear me. I have had a healthy adventure, and have begun work on a new book. Once again, I must leave a familiar age in search of a new universe I have begun. But first I will have an extended time with Catherine, whom I miss very much. I must also return to the people of the Tide. I believe in my travels I have found a substance that will ease the pain of their bone ailments they have long endured. I hope to return to mechanical age one day and find the population growing and my fortress still strong. Though the sky may always be black, I am confident the people here feel a heavier darkness has been lifted from their shoulders. Got this diagram of what is presumably the fortress. And then we've actually already opened up the pathway to this age earlier, so we just got to take the book to go there real quick. Here it is, yep, the gears. And yep, there's the fortress. Okay, so let's see what there is to see here. Whoops. So one little interesting lore tidbit, and as far as I know, this has never been like officially confirmed from like the developers or anything, but you'll notice that the sky is blue and not cloudy or anything like it said in the journal. And it also said in the journal that it was said that the sky would remain black until the black ships were defeated, and we also had that roll of cloth that had the black ship insignia in one of the bedrooms in Stoneship Age. So my kind of headcanon, and a few other people that I know have also kind of surmised this, that at some point one of the brothers came back here and defeated the black ships, thus, you know, resulting in the sky being blue somehow. It doesn't really explain why that's the case, but you know, that's a thing that a lot of people, myself included, think probably happened at one point. And I think that maybe some of the events there might have led the brothers down to whatever path led them to do the things that led to the events that we're seeing now, all of the destruction that was caused. But yeah, let's just kind of explore and see what we got here. We got this room with all these little knickknacks in it. We've got this thing here that we'll mess with here in a little bit. And we've got this device here. Fortress rotation simulator, and that just kind of was going to teach us some things about what to do later. Like, this controls rotation speed, I guess. And my mouse is being all funky because of course it is. Or I guess this controls whether we can rotate, and this controls actually rotating. And then you'll notice these sounds are actually the same sounds that we just used in Selenitic. So if we actually came here before we came to Selenitic, that would give us a little bit of a jump start in associating sounds with different directions. But I intentionally didn't do that. I came to this one after Selenitic because I just wanted to show that you didn't have to do that in order to solve Selenitic properly. And then there's this little side passage here. We've got a little shocky cage here. Little torture chamber. Yeah, a little skull kind of looking thing in there. And yeah, we've got our blue page here. So we'll hang on to that. Let's go back here. If we go here, there's not really much to do until we push this button. Push the button. And then we've got this lever here. You can see it turns red when these are aligned. So let's see what that did. And now this door is open and we can see it's an elevator. It takes us up to an upper level. And there's not really much to do here. We can see up here, though, there's these two levers that look a little bit like the levers in the Fortress Rotation Simulator. So it'd be nice if we could figure out a way to get up there. And there's this middle button here that if we press, kind of waits a little bit. So while it's waiting, we can go ahead and step out. And then that lowers the controls down to us, which is what we want. So we're facing, which direction is that? South, I think. Let's see if we can rotate around. No, not quite. Those gears here kind of give you a little bit of an indication on what you're doing. Okay, so now we're facing east. So let's see what happens when we go east. And what that did is that just rotated this whole building, so it's pointing in different directions. So if we go out the entrance, we should be able to get somewhere new. And let's go out. Out the entrance. And yeah, this puts us over here. And we've got 2 symbols here. So we're going to want to make a note of these symbols because they'll be important later. Actually, I've already forgotten what those symbols were. Let me go ahead and make a note of that so I don't forget them. There we go. Oh, there's this little telescope thing, too. It's not pointing at anything right now, though. But, you know, maybe if we turn around to a different direction, then we can see something through it. We'll have to check that when we turn here in a minute. Oh, right, we need to push the middle button, hop out. Okay, yep, we're still facing east. Now this should face us north. Yep. And if we go out here, we're at another place. And we can see these other places that we've already been. And we've got these 2 symbols here, which I'll just make a note of real quick. Okay. Now let's go back in and, well, let's actually check out the telescope just to see if there's anything to see pointing this direction. And yep, we've got our little skeleton dude hanging up from a mast of a ship way out somewhere. So yeah, that's kind of another thing that lends credence to the whole black ship theory, that somebody came back here and dealt with the black ships. Oh right, I gotta push. I always forget to push that button for some reason. Just expect it to magically work without me telling it to. There we go. Now let's go back out to the first place we got. And we already saw earlier that there was nothing out in the 4th direction, so let's just go back the way we were first facing, and then we'll go back to the place we linked in at. So we got 4 symbols, and we need a place to put them. Yep, and let's put in those 4 symbols that we found earlier. There's that one. There's that one. That one. And that one. And now we found the Myst book. Let's go ahead and give Achenar his page and see what he has to say.
Hello, I'm Achenar. I'm glad to see that you've returned to help me escape from my wrongful imprisonment. It was Sirrus who did this to me. Sirrus, my wicked brother. Do not listen to him. I warn you. He's a liar. Do not be persuaded by his evil lies. Do not release him. He killed my father. He will kill you. Began when my brother Sirrus began to lust for riches. He stole from the Aegis of Myst. He hoarded riches for himself. Our father. Father slept away his watchfulness. My sick brother secretly pronounced himself king. King of the Aegis of Myst, he said. He began to look upon me in disgust. His lowly brother. He's him. And then Sirrus began to destroy the Aegis of Myst. He burned their forest. He tore down their structures. He flooded their lands. He murdered their inhabitants. He destroyed all but 4 of the Aegis. Of course, I had to warn Father. When I finally found him, there was Sirrus also, talking cleverly. The lying tongue of a serpent. He had convinced Father that it was I who destroyed the Aegis. He convinced Father that it was I who was greedy for wealth and plunder. And as Sirrus dealt the final blow, he tricked Father into believing that I was the murderer. But Sirrus did not deal as fast a blow as he planned. And his father died a slow death. He at last doubted my brother's clever lies, and so in dying, Father imprisoned us both. I'm sure from which of us the blow had come. I swear to you what I say is true. Release me. You must release me. My brother's a deceitful liar and deserves punishment. I only wish vengeance for my dear father. His murder. Believe me. You must only recover 1 additional page to release me from this prison. It's the easiest to find. Go to the bookshelf. It's in this library. On the far right side of the middle shelf, there's a burned book, which is different from the other bird books. This book is filled with patterns. Find pattern 158. Mimic its design on the panel in the fireplace. Doing this will bring you to the last blue page. Remember, take the red page. Only the blue page. Return quickly to me. And do not touch the green book. It's a clever trap to imprison those have not been warned. Do not be tempted, or you will rot and die, imprisoned as I am. I tell you, if you follow my instructions, it will be well worth your while. I promise you that. Go. Go.
All right, so he said something about a code in this book, last book on the middle shelf, pattern number 158. So that's the pattern we want right there. And he said to put it in the panel in the fireplace. So we can put the code here. Before we do that, though, let's go back to Mechanical Age. And grab Sirrus's page and see what he has to say. Because I don't know if we trust Achenar. Or Sirrus, for that matter. So Achenar's page was in a secret compartment in that other room there, so there's a similar compartment right here. It's a little harder to see. But Once you know it's there, it's pretty easy to find. And we've got this note here. Sirrus, your greed sickens me. Your desire for wealth and plunder is never satisfied. I will instruct my subjects not to pay your new tax, and you know they'll listen to me. Regards, Achenar. So they obviously weren't getting along very well. And here's our red page. But we know from that little device we saw in Channelwood that they were also plotting together for something. So something fishy's going on. Where am I going?
You finally returned. I owe you a debt of gratitude, for you have nearly released me. My name is Sirrus. I trust that from your explorations you've become convinced that my wicked brother Achenar is guilty, and I am innocent. It is I who am wrongly imprisoned here. Imprisoned by my father. I don't know who you are, or how you came to this island, but I assume you must at least know something of the books. It was father who was a master of the books. He wrote hundreds of them, all describing and linking to the fantastic places and ages which he had discovered. The room in which you now stand was our father's library. It was here, in this room, on this island named Myst, that he housed most of these books. But such a waste. By now, you have surely discovered that Achenar has burnt and mutilated most of these books. Why? Our father was always watchful of our explorations. We grew up under his strict supervision. But when we came of age, he gave us unbridled access to the Myst books. He began to leave our adventures more and more unchecked. Unsupervised as we were, my brother began to become disturbed. He began to take more from the Myst ages than he had given. Soon he gained a twisted pleasure from the conquest and destruction of the other ages. It was horrific. His thirst for destruction. But alas, even I discovered his insanity too late. He had completely destroyed all of the Myst ages but 4. I wasted no time. In warning my father, I thought he would recognize Achenar's guilt. But in a fit of rage, he imprisoned both my brother and myself within the pages of these books, designed to hold us until he could judge which of us was guilty. To discover the truth, our father embarked on one final chapter. However, he has never returned. I can only assume that he perished along the way, leaving me, an innocent victim, trapped forever. But now, you are here to release me. Listen carefully. You must find one more page and I will be forever free. There is a book on the shelves in this library which is mostly burned but has a few pages still intact. It is the last book on the middle shelf. Find it. This book is filled with a variety of patterns. Find pattern 158 and recreate it on the door of the fireplace. This will bring you to the last red page. Bring that page to me, and I will finally be released, and able to reward you, of course. Ignore the blue page. That page finishes my brother's book. chills me to even think what would happen if you were to release him. There is another warning. Where the red and blue pages reside, also resides a green book. If you touch the green book, you also will be imprisoned forever. Our father gave us this same warning long ago. I suggest you follow his advice. Go now. Soon we will be face to face.
All right, so more of the same stuff from Sirrus. He did give us the same information more or less that Achenar did. You know, pattern 158, door of the fireplace. Don't touch the green book. Yeah, basically both of them are accusing the other of being the reason for their father's death. So let's go ahead and put this pattern. Let's see if I can remember what it was. Something like that. I think that's right. Yeah, there we go. So we've got our green book, we've got our red and blue pages. So both Sirrus and Achenar said not to touch the green book. So that maybe means we should touch the green book, since neither one of them appears to be trustworthy. Hey, we touched the green book. Let's see what's in it.
Who the devil are you? Don't come here to Dunny. Not yet. Oh, I have many questions for you, my friend. As you no doubt have for me. Where should I begin? Oh. Perhaps my story is in order. My name is Achenar. I fear you've met my sons, Sirrus and Achenar, in the red and blue books on Myst Island. In my library. Oh, it contains my works, my writings. Oh, I wrote many books that linked me to fantastic places. It's an art I learned from my father many years ago. Oh, but the red and blue books, those were different. I wrote those books to entrap over-greedy explorers that might stumble upon my island of Myst. But I had no idea my own sons would be entrapped. My sons, Sirrus and Achenar, we had many journeys together. I gave them free rein to the books. Perhaps it was not wise. I could see the greed growing in them. I had not told them about the red and blue books. Their imaginations went wild. They dreamed of riches and power. Of course, they did not know the books were traps. They begged me for access to those books, and I, of course, denied them. Oh, they devised a plan, an evil plan. I had no idea to what extent their greed had progressed. Their own mother, they used their own mother. Oh, my dear Catherine, to lure me here to Dunny. Of course, I could return to Myst, except that they removed a single page from my Myst linking book. I cannot return without that page. You, my friend, can bring that page to me. Oh, I pray you believe my story above the lies that my sons have told you. If you could find it in yourself to return that page to me here in Dunny, I could go to Myst and bring justice to my sons for what they have done. I must return to my writing. I pray that you believe me. Please hurry. Bring the page. Bring the page with you.
All right, so Atris is not in fact dead. His sons are lying, scheming, no good bad guys. But we shouldn't go to Atris yet because we don't have his page. That actually triggers a bad ending if we do that. Because we'll be stuck there without a way back. But luckily, getting that page is actually pretty easy. Same thing goes for giving the red and blue pages to Sirrus or Achenar. If we give either of them their last page, we'll basically switch places with them, and we'll be trapped in their book, and they'll be free, and then they'll go through their whole evil villain routine, laughing at us for our stupidity. And if I hadn't already been going for so long, I might show all the bad endings. But for now, let's just get the good ending and call that good, because I've been recording for a few hours at this point, and it's getting time for me to probably go to bed soon. So let's just, yeah. Okay, so we had those two halves of the note that we found in different ages that basically told us that there was a vault that we could access by turning on all the marker switches and turning off the one by the dock. So we already have all the marker switches on, so all we really need to do to access this vault is turn this marker switch right here off. And now we have a page. So we can bring this page to Atris. And that's the page that his sons took from his book. Let's see if I can remember the code again. Is that, I think? Nope. That? I think that's right. There we go. So it is possible to beat this game in like a minute or two, because like that code doesn't change, like it's not randomized or anything. So if you know that code, you can just like immediately access this green book here. And same goes with the marker switch things. You can just flip all the marker switches up and turn the other one off, like if you know that that's a thing, and just get the white page and come here and get the good ending within just a minute or two if you really.
Have you found the missing page? Come.
Yeah, I forget what the world record speed run for this is, but I'm pretty sure it's under a minute. Don't quote me on that. I'd have to look it up, but.
Come here.
Well, if you insist.
Ah, my friend. You returned. And the page? Did you bring the page? Ah, give it to me. You've done the right thing. I have a difficult choice to make. My sons have betrayed me. I know what I must do. I shall return shortly.
And we just gotta wait for a minute for Achenar to come back. He's got a little spiel he's gonna give us. If you click away from here and just kind of randomly explore, you can actually miss this because
It
it'll.
is done. I have many questions for you, my friend, but my writing cannot wait. I fear that my long delay may have already had a catastrophic impact on the world in which my wife, Catherine, is now being held hostage. Oh, in reward, I'm sorry, but all I have to offer you is the library on the island of Myst, the books that are contained there. Feel free to explore at your leisure. I hope you find your explorations satisfying. You will no longer have my sons to deal with. Oh, and one more favor. I am fighting a foe much greater than my sons could even imagine. At some point in the future, I may find it necessary to request your assistance. Until that point, feel free to enjoy the explorations from my library on Myst. Thank you again. The book. You can use the Myst linking book to return to Myst.
And if we explore around here, there's really not much to explore, just a bunch of blocked doors and some sort of cave-in over here. So yeah, let's go back to Myst. And the books are gone. He burned them. That's what he did when he was gone for a little bit. So yeah, at this point we could just keep exploring the game. Everything's unlocked. Everything's accessible to us. Like Andrew said, we could just explore at our leisure. But that's technically the end of the game. There, it's kind of open ended, which is cool. You can just, like I said, everything's open to you. So yeah, that's Myst. Not bad for a 1993 game, I think. Definitely a little bit of nostalgia, probably coloring my opinion of it, but I really enjoy it. There's a bunch of sequels to this game. There's 5 Myst games, and then there's one spin-off called Uru, which is a bit of a weird case. That one kind of tried to be an MMO at first, and then that didn't work out, so they just released a bunch of single-player content for it. But I may or may not go through the sequels at some point, just because I find them enjoyable. Especially the second game, Riven. That one is probably my favorite game of all time, like bar none. That game is incredible. Just the amount of attention to detail and world building and the amount of expansion to the lore it gives to what you see here. Basically, Riven takes everything that Myst was and makes it like 10 times better. So if I do any of them, I'll definitely do that one. But I don't know when or if I'll get around to doing that. Who knows? But yeah, if you're new to the channel, I wouldn't necessarily say that more stuff like this is definitely coming, because like I said at the beginning, this isn't really a gaming channel per se, and I'm not planning on making this into a gaming channel. I've got some other well-established content niches that I've kind of placed myself into that I'm definitely planning on continuing. And for those of you that have stuck around and are looking for more of that stuff, there's definitely more of that stuff in the works, so stay tuned for that. But until next time, thanks for watching. Thanks to all of my subscribers, and I'll see you next time.